If you've ever had a feeling in your body that something wasn't quite right, if you didn't quite know what it was, or maybe even thought you were overthinking it, then I want you to stay with me for this video because I recently went through something that completely changed how I listen to my body, and I think it could help you too, especially if you have a tendency to push through things rather than slow down. I want to talk about the importance of listening to your body and also of being your own biggest advocate, because those really aren't things that we're often taught how to do. And those of us who have people pleasing tendencies, we're the ones who really need to learn how to do this because we already veer towards the side of pushing through things because we don't want to let people down or make a big deal out of things. I took a couple weeks off from posting here, but it wasn't because I actively chose to take a break. It's because my body forced one on me. I had a pretty serious health scare and have a long recovery ahead, and it's forcing me to slow down. But what I want to be clear about is that I wasn't ignoring my health. I thought that I was listening to my body, and I was actively trying to get answers. I was already seeing multiple doctors, but we just weren't connecting the dots. So different symptoms were being treated as different issues. And individually, they made sense, but my health was still deteriorating. So when I finally went to the ER on Christmas Day, I knew deep down that something was very wrong. So rather than just letting them treat all the outward and obvious symptoms I was having, I pushed to have some imaging done on something going on internally that seemed completely unrelated. But there was something in the back of my mind that for weeks had been questioning if all of these things were connected somehow. There wasn't one big, obvious red flag. It was a bunch of smaller things, and nobody else seemed to make a connection between them. And if I hadn't spoken up that day in the ER and been adamant that I really needed them to do imaging, they probably wouldn't have caught what was going on. And that's something I'm still struggling to process. And that's why I want to talk about this, because I know so many people who've been through similar situations without realizing how serious it could become. Now, my experience was a little bit extreme. Mine was a life-threatening infection that required an emergency surgery. But my hope is that by you learning to listen to your body, you can avoid going through a scary situation like this. And in a few minutes, I'll share a question that I wish I had asked myself sooner, because I probably would have responded differently had I thought through it. When I look back on everything, one of the biggest lessons that this experience taught me is that our bodies often talk to us in whispers, long before they're forced to scream. So you may have symptoms that come and go. You may feel fatigued and just blame it on a busy work schedule. Or you might even just have this low-level discomfort that you write off as part of getting older. We get really good at adapting to discomfort. We adjust our lives around it rather than asking why it's there. If you've been tired for a long time, or something just feels off, your body may be trying to communicate with you right now. The question I wish I'd asked myself sooner is this: what is my body asking for right now? And am I willing to listen? Instead, I've been asking myself, can I push through this? And be honest with yourself when you ask yourself that. Another thing I learned is that being proactive doesn't always mean you're being protected. You can be doing all the right things, seeing doctors, taking medications, following a treatment plan, but you still need to be your own advocate. Healthcare is fragmented, and different specialists are seeing different pieces of your puzzle. And it doesn't make what they're seeing wrong. It just means that you are the only one who is seeing the full picture of what's going on inside your body. And I don't say this to make you distrust professionals. I'm saying this because I want you to learn to trust yourself alongside with them. So if you struggle to speak up or you don't want to be seen as too much, this is especially important to remember. You are allowed to ask questions, and you're allowed to say, this doesn't feel right. You don't have to have the perfect words to do it, but I just want you to know that it doesn't make you difficult. It just makes you present. You're present in the discussion and in the moment. And for me, this has always been a little bit difficult for me to push back to doctors because I respect them. But that day in the ER, I had to do exactly that. I asked a lot of questions. I told them when something didn't feel right, and I pushed back when they initially came at me with surgery, which obviously I couldn't avoid. But I had that discussion, and I had what at the time for me was an uncomfortable discussion. And where I'm at right now is still very much in a healing process. And it's a lot slower than I would like, but I'm learning that rest is sometimes the only thing we need in order to be able to heal at all. Rest isn't something that we earn from getting things done. And for me, as somebody who's always going and doing and running and getting a ton of things done before I can rest, that's something I'm really having to learn. To just be okay with this slow time and the downtime, to let all of my to-do lists go and to just focus on my health. Because when your body has been under prolonged stress, whether emotional or physical, it needs safety and slowness, not pressure. And I know I am all too guilty of putting a lot of pressure on myself. And I do very much believe that the things that we carry and the stress and anxiety and all of these things, that they do manifest physically. And this was a big one for me. So I'm really trying to use this time to honor my body and to slow down and just really allow it to heal. And I'll probably talk more about this in a separate video because there's so much to say. And I think we really misunderstand what healing looks like for the body. If there's one thing I'd like you to take away from this video, it's this. Your body is not working against you. It's communicating with you. And you're allowed to listen and to speak up, even if you don't have perfect clarity about it yet. So if this video resonated, or you have anything you'd like to share about an experience that you went through where you listened to your body, feel free to drop a comment below or share this with somebody who you think it could help. I really do want this to be a way that you can learn to communicate with your body and save yourself from going through a situation like I did. I wouldn't wish it on anyone, honestly. So yes, thank you for being here with me. I appreciate you, and I hope you have an amazing day.